Welcome to this lunchtime broadcast where we highlight the news making waves ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines. New homes are on the horizon for Goreangab residents. Great potential in Africa for the development of clean energy. 130 Nigerian school children return home after weeks in captivity. I'm Aina Koyo and this is NMH at 1. You can follow all our programs on our website, which is called oneup2.com or DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Chekero Tweya, chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources, said Parliament remains in the dark regarding agreements on green hydrogen productions, including the Hyphen Namibia's feasibility study for green hydrogen development, and that they have only seen the agreement between Namibia and the European Union. He also criticized the fishing agreements and memorandum of understanding signed for the exploitation of Namibia's natural resources without a constitutional sanction.
The value of our resource. Namibia currently is known as the second uranium producing country. Now from uranium you can derive many benefits. One of them is energy. Now, Namibia, for the past couple of years, has a deficit of energy supply. And we take our raw mineral uranium, we take it outside the country instead of investing it back to generate our own energy that we need to fill the gap of 60% deficit, which we are at the moment have to import at a very high cost from the neighboring countries, from Zimbabwe, South Africa, and it comes through Zambia. There's no logic that Namibia within SADC is the highest in terms of pricing, the most expensive energy in SADC. And we do have the resource to address that, but we do not have plan how to reduce that benefit. All that we are interested in is to sell it to other people, and those other people's energy cost is very low, and they have got technically more than 100% coverage. They got enough energy. And yet we are in deficit, but there is no plan how to fill this deficit except selling and taking our raw minerals outside the country. Now, the excuse has always been we don't have the skills, we don't have the technology. But there are no plans to address this skills deficit that we can use our own resource to produce our own energy. Because no country has had enough skills or enough money to do what they need to do.
Coming up next, visual news. Stay with us.
Hi, Kambaripa.
Hi, Melissa.
You look upset. Is everything okay?
A healthcare worker refused to attend to me because I visited the healthcare facility without a guardian.
Healthcare workers are not allowed to do that. This sounds like a job for your shield of survival.
Huh?
Your rights, they're your superpowers. Your shield of survival is your right to life, health, nutrition, shelter, and an adequate standard of living.
For more information, contact the Children's Advocate Namibia in the Office of the Ombudsman on 061 20 73 111. Send us an SMS on 20401. SMS costs 40 cents. You can also send us a message via our Facebook page. Remember, the services of the Children's Advocate are free of charge.
Alexei Likachev, the Director General of Rosatom, said there is great potential in Africa for the development of clean energy. He delivered the opening remarks during the official opening of the Atom Expo 2024 in Sochi, Russia on Monday morning. Have a look.
Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Iraq.
Мы отмечаем особое привилегированное участие в нашем форуме представителей африканского континента. Именно там сегодня кроется огромный потенциал развития не только энергетики, не только промышленности, но и всей цивилизации нашей планеты.
Of special privilege is the participation for us of the African continent countries, and there's a great potential and highs in Africa in the terms of developing energy and power sector, in developing industry, in general moving forward in its development.
У нашего Атомэкспо еще одно отличие – это первый полностью безуглеродный форум. Все источники энергии форума являются зелеными.
There's another difference vis-à-vis all other previous Atom Expo forums, as opposed to this year's forum. This year's forum is 100% carbon-free forum. So the power used to generate energy to power it is 100% carbon-free.
Девиз нашего форума – чистая энергия, создавая будущее вместе. И ключевыми являются два слова – будущее.
We return with newspaper review shortly.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahana.
Hij zei, wie is er aan neertrekken? Hij bal lijkt mij grond gepakt. Ja, hij heeft grond gepakt. En dan zie je...
But just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Right, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
we kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
Popular Democratic Movement lawmaker Hidipo Hamata says having the Swapo Band in Dilimani Cultural Troupe headlining entertainment at the National Independence Celebration, as was the case in Katima Mulilo last week, does not unify Namibians across the political divide. Hamata, who also serves as a party secretary for information and publicity, lamented attempts by the ruling party to hijack the sacred day for its own political gain, urging instead for music that reflected the spirit of inclusivity and hope. Moving over to our next story, the Convent of the Holy Cross, a congregation of nuns, is gunning for Standard Bank after it reportedly authorized the transfer of 640,000 Namibian dollars to a South African bank account without any authorization. The nuns are now demanding repayment to a tune of 240,017 Namibian dollars. This after Standard Bank was instructed to pay the organization 240,017 Namibian dollars to partly recover the monies that were fraudulently transferred from its bank account. Moving over to our next story, alleged pedophile and a former police reservist Johanna Marie is said to have received just over 77,000 Namibian dollars via Western Union money transfer for selling graphic photographs of underage boys on the dark web. The accused allegedly installed spy cameras in the changing rooms at the Olympia swimming pool to obtain naked photographs and videos of young children. He would later post these photographs on the internet and also sell the images to potential foreign buyers in foreign countries. Moving over to our next story from the Republican, the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights recently met with Namibia's Attorney General Festus Mbadeka to discuss the country's human rights achievements and challenges. The chairperson of the UN Human Rights Committee, Tanya Rokol, said Namibia respected freedom of expression but expressed concern about corruption in public procurement and the application of environmental legislation. The Allgemeine Zeitung reports that as Johanna Marie pleaded in the Windhoek High Court yesterday, more information came to light about the various charges related to the alleged sexual abuse of 16 underage boys. Allgemeine Zeitung also reports that, supported by the Namibian government and the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, the Southern Africa Science Service Center for Climate Change and Adaptive Land Management is organizing a hydrogen symposium in Windhoek. After the break, we return with more newspaper review. Stick around. The Namibian newspaper reports that most of the 2 million Namibian dollars which disappeared in the Bank Windhoek theft involving employee Nico Rebebe was spent at Falfish Bay and Swakopmund. Kunene Regional Police Commander Commissioner James Nderura revealed this to the Namibian yesterday. He said that he has dispatched a team of investigators in the region to probe the theft. The Institute of Public Policy Research, has warned the government against enacting discriminatory laws targeting marginalized communities, particularly lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and intersex individuals. A report published by IPPR researcher Federico Links on Sunday has been submitted to the United Nations Human Rights Council, urging the government to uphold the LGBTQ+ individual rights and combat discrimination, harassment and violence against them. Moving over to the New Era newspaper. As the deadline for mandatory registration of SIM cards draws near, Namibians have been encouraged by banks to avoid the discomfort and inconvenience that may be associated with being disconnected. Namibians have exactly 4 days to ensure that their subscriber identity module cards are registered in their names. First National Bank warned its client that should the 31st of March 2024 come and they are not registered, they should be aware that all online banking users will be affected. Moving over to the next New Era story. A 41-year-old sightless man who lives with his 2 minor boys in a small dilapidated house at Omtsegonime, located 20 kilometers north of Omuthia, tells his tale of daily hardship. The village structure that Shikudule Jekonia and his family call home is a deplorable state, surrounded by grass, and one can see their few belongings from outside. Moving over to Market Watch, the Bertelsmann Stiftung says Namibia's expenditure on salary relative to its gross domestic product will limit the government's ability to build wealth. The findings are contained in the Bertelsmann Stiftung's Transformation Index 2024, despite ongoing warnings since the late 1990s about the urgent need for public sector reform. Progress have been limited. Now, after the break, we return with economic news. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
In economic news this afternoon, a total of 130 new houses will be built in Goreangab Informal Settlements Extension 4 as part of the Informal Settlement Upgrading Affordable Housing Pilot Project. This was announced at the groundbreaking ceremony yesterday. The initiative is set to commence on the 2nd of April and will run until the end of June. It was originally commissioned in June 2020 and is part of the government program aimed at eliminating shacks in informal settlements. Since its inception, a total of 694 affordable and high-quality houses have been built for residents of informal settlement areas, said Deputy Minister of Urban and Rural Development Evelyn Nawases Taele at the event. She emphasized the importance of ensuring all Namibians live in a proper house. Mikandadi, a teacher residing in the informal settlement, expressed gratitude for the program but also emphasized the importance of responsible management. Now let's have a look at economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades for 23 Namibian dollars 91 cents to 1 British pound, 20 Namibian dollars 53 cents to 1 euro, 18 Namibian dollars 92 cents gets you 1 US dollar. Letseho Holdings have increased with 0.52%. That also includes Namibian Breweries Ltd, which increased with 0.03% on the local share. Overall index closed with a drop of 0.05%, while the local index increased with a 0.12%. Two commodities, particularly gold and copper, have increased with a 0.92% and 0.21% respectively. Platinum and Brent crude oil have dropped with a 0.23% and 0.05% respectively.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Here are the news from Africa. Wrapped in orange headscarves and blue school uniforms, over 100 Nigerian students and staff who were kidnapped this month arrived at the local government building in the country's north on Monday, a day after they were freed by the army. Major General MLD Sarau of the Nigerian Army said one of the 138 people abducted, a school staff member, had died in captivity. The army announced on Sunday it had rescued 137 hostages, 76 females and 61 males in the neighboring state of Zamfara, days before a deadline to pay a 1 billion naira ransom for their release. One security source said he saw 14 black bags, which he assumed contained the ransom money, being delivered to the Dansadao enclave in Zamfara state. Information Minister Mohammed Idris told a press briefing in Abuja that no ransom was paid. Moving over to our next African story, the new development bank set up by BRICS group of emerging economies aims to make about $5 billion in loans this year, its Vice President Zhu Quinku said on Tuesday. During the epidemic, our businesses have been somewhat affected, and now everything is going back on track, Zhu told Reuters on the sideline of the annual Bao Forum. Zhu did not elaborate on how the bank may have been off track, but said China and India have received slightly more investment from the bank than other members. Headquartered in Shanghai, the NDB was set up in 2015 by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, collectively known as the BRICS countries. After the break, we return with international news. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
In international news this afternoon, New Zealand's glaciers are shrinking as ice melts at an accelerating rate, a top government scientist warned Monday after concluding a monitoring expedition in the country's southern Alps. The country's Climate Institute conducts a yearly aerial snowline survey, which helps to chart how much ice the nation's glaciers have lost. Overall, the snowline has been rising, and in the most recent years we are seeing that rise accelerates, so we are experiencing a continued trend of glacial ice loss, said Principal Scientist Andrew Lowry in a statement. Lowry from the National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research said many once grand glaciers now appeared smashed and shattered. Government scientists have been monitoring the health of the country's glaciers for almost 50 years. They fly over dozens of so-called index glaciers and use them as a barometer for the thousands of glaciers in harder to reach parts of New Zealand's South Island. After the break, we return with local sports news. Stay with us. In local sports this afternoon, Windhoek 60-year-old Frank Snyman achieved an emotional lifetime goal and the absolute highlight of his cycling career when he finished on the podium on each of the 8 days of the grueling Absa Cape Epic Mountain Bike Tour. Both him and his Swedish teammate Alti Hansen, a late replacement shortly before the 8-day stage race, had to fight with everything they had during the last days as health issues to both threatened to end their experience, despite their desired result being so close within reach. The pair finished stages 1 to 6 in the second position in the Great Grandmasters Men category general classification and had to bravely hang on for the overall third place podium finish. Moving over to our next story, the upcoming amateur boxer Pieter Kotze says he hopes to get more fights in the near future in order to advance his career. The 19-year-old prospect will be in action at the MTC Nestor Sunshine Tobias Independence Boxing event slated on the 27th of April at Ramatex. Kotze faces Philippus Shikongo in four-round bout at light heavyweight. Kotze is confident that he can grow from strength to strength if given more fights. After the break, we return with the international sports. Stay with us. Temporary border controls as part of the ramped-up security around Soccer 2024 European Championship, which it is hosting, the Interior Minister said. The tournament starts on June 14 and is set to attract 2.7 million fans to stadium and up to 12 million at public viewing events. For the Euros, we are pulling the forces of the security authorities even more strongly and preparing for possible threats, Interior Minister Nancy Faeser told the Post newspaper. And with that, we've come to the end of this day's broadcast. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. We wish you a lovely Tuesday.